Dear viewers, have you ever seen faith turn into fear, devotion into destruction, a religious pilgrimage that turns highways into war zones? If you live in North India during July and August, you know what exactly I'm talking about. This is the Kanwar Yatra, and let's not sugarcoat it. For many, it has become a season of dread, a time when roads shut down, when groups of young men in saffron take over streets, when bhajans blast over EDM beats, and when the smallest perceived slight can trigger violence that leaves vehicles smashed, people injured, and livelihoods destroyed. Today on Honest Take with me Tejas, we are going to unpack the Kanwar Yatra. What it is, how it began, what it means, how it has evolved, and why it has turned violent. We will also ask why governments not only tolerate but often encourage this aggression and what it says about faith, law, and the social contract in India. But before we begin, do subscribe to our channel if you haven't already and hit the bell icon to never miss an important update because we bring you the stories that others don't. Firstly, what exactly is the Kanwar Yatra? Every year during the Hindu month of Shravan, lakhs, sometimes crores of devotees called Kanwariyas walk, run or drive to the Ganga in Haridwar, Gaumukh, Gangotri and other pilgrimage sites. They collect holy water and carry it back in a brightly decorated pitchers called kavats, often on foot, to offer to Lord Shiva in local temples. It is seen as an act of penance, surrender and deep devotion. In Hindu mythology, stories link this yatra to Lord Shiva consuming poison to save the world and to legendary devotees like Parshuram, Ram and even Ravan who offered Ganga water to Shiva to fulfill vows. For many, it's a deeply personal journey. They fast, stay away from intoxicants, walk barefoot and chant Shiva's name. Families take pride when their sons and daughters return with the holy water. In small towns and villages, it's an event that brings communities together. That's the ideal. Until the late 1980s, the Kanwar Yatra was a quiet affair. Groups of devotees would walk along highways, chanting softly, stopping at roadside camps, and returning home after completing their offering. But over the last 3 decades, it has changed completely. Why? Better roads, a rising wave of religious assertion, the growth of identity politics, and the cultural mainstreaming of public displays of faith turned a humble pilgrimage into a spectacle. Crowds swelled from thousands to lakhs to crores. DJ trucks blasting EDM mixed with bhajans, brightly lit vehicles, saffron flags, and WhatsApp groups coordinating movements changed the yatra's character. What began as a spiritual journey became a street performance. You have seen the videos. Young men dancing on highways, waving tridents, chanting slogans, blocking roads, and sometimes flexing their power by shutting shops and intimidating locals. Let's look at what has been happening on the ground recently. Muzaffarnagar, July 2025. Kanwariyas attack a man and destroy his motorcycle over a minor collision. Police stand by, intervening only after the damage is done. Meerut, the same month. A group attacks 4 men from a minority community after an accidental brush on the Delhi-Dehradun highway, vandalizing their car. Haridwar, Kanwariyas vandalize an e-rickshaw, accusing the driver of desecrating their kawad after a minor collision. Mansurpur, around 50 Kanwariyas attack petrol pump staff for asking them not to litter. A dhaba is ransacked because onions were served in food considered inappropriate during the yatra. Hapur last year, stones thrown at a madarsa over rumors that someone spat on Kanwariyas. These are not isolated incidents. Every year, similar stories repeat. Vehicles smashed, shops attacked, ordinary people forced to watch mobs, emboldened by numbers and religious symbolism, take over public spaces. So why does this violence happen? The Kanwar Yatra involves large groups of young men moving together. The sense of religious duty combined with the power of numbers blurs normal boundaries. A small incident, a brush, a honk, a comment can escalate into collective aggression. Religious zeal adds fuel to the fire. Some Kanwariyas believe that any contact with their kawad by a non-devotee is an insult to Shiva, demanding instant retribution. A culture of masculinity mixed with a desire to display religious aggression makes it even more volatile. And then there is the system's complicity. Police hesitate to intervene, fearing allegations of hurting religious sentiments. Governments, aware of the religious vote bank, go out of their way to accommodate the yatra, turning a blind eye to excesses. It creates a perfect storm. Hooliganism gets wrapped in a saffron flag. Lawlessness gets justified as religious fervor. The Kanwar Yatra is politically sensitive. No government, especially in states like Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand, wants to be seen as cracking down on Hindu religious practices. So you get bizarre spectacles. Police officers showering petals on Kanwariyas from helicopters, free amenities, roads cleared while ordinary citizens and businesses are forced to shut down. The state's message is clear: faith above law, political calculation above accountability. Even the Supreme Court has criticized governments for failing to curb vandalism, demanding accountability and FIRs. But on the ground, the situation rarely changes. Police become bystanders, FIRs, if filed, rarely lead to arrests. Let's be clear, this episode is not an attack on faith. Faith, when personal, is powerful and transformative. But when it is weaponized to justify lawlessness, it becomes a threat to society. If your faith requires you to destroy someone's car because it brushed against your cupboard, is that faith or arrogance? If your devotion makes you feel entitled to block roads for hours, is that devotion or power play? Faith does not demand the destruction of law and order. Faith does not require violence. Every year when violence erupts, videos go viral. Newsrooms debate, hashtags trend, and then, as the yatra ends, the outrage fades. Victims are left to rebuild. Perpetrators vanish back into their homes unpunished. Until next year, when it all repeats. Faith should be a personal journey, not a public menace. The state needs to enforce the law, irrespective of who breaks it. If the Kanwar Yatra is to continue, it must do so within the bounds of law and order. Violence should not be tolerated. Vandalism should not be ignored. Blocking highways should not be normalized. Devotees must remember, faith does not grant the right to terrorize others. Faith does not need to be loud, aggressive, or destructive. It can be quiet, personal, and powerful. Until then, every July and August will bring the same fear, the same violence, the same helplessness. We need to ask, what are we really worshipping when we let mobs rule the streets in the name of God? Faith or fear? Spirituality or aggression? Devotion or dominance? Until we answer these questions, the Kanwar Yatra will remain a mirror, reflecting what our society has become, reflecting the compromises our state is willing to make in the name of faith, reflecting the fear many citizens are forced to live with in their own cities, on their own roads. This was your honest take with me, Tejas. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and never stop asking tough questions.